2005 Japanese Grand Prix was the penultimate round of the season, and Fernando Alonso had already wrapped up the Drivers' Championship at the previous round in Brazil. Rumours before the weekend suggested that McLaren's Kimi Raikkonen had already signed a contract to join Ferrari in 2007. Raikkonen said, "These are not new rumours, they are already 3 years old, but of course now everyone knows that my contract is only to next year with McLaren." Kimi vaguely denying those rumours there, but they of course proved to be true when he did join Ferrari for the 2007 season. Back to 2005 and Japan. Qualifying was one shot for 2005, meaning that each driver only got one flying lap. In Japan, it was a wet qualifying and conditions got worse throughout the session, meaning that by the end, when the fastest cars got to the track, it was too wet to set a competitive time. Because of this, reigning world champion Michael Schumacher qualified only 14th, with Fernando Alonso qualifying 16th and Kimi Raikkonen qualifying 17th, 16 seconds off pole position. Raikkonen's teammate Juan Pablo Montoya failed to set a lap time and he started 18th. At the front of the field, Toyota's Ralf Schumacher took pole at their home race ahead of Jenson Button and Giancarlo Fisichella, who was favourite for the race because he was the only driver in a front-running car inside the top 10, Fisichella being Fernando Alonso's teammate in the Renault for 2005. Christian Klein qualified 4th, ahead of home favourite Takuma Sato in 5th.
Here come the lights then. When they go out, we'll be racing at Suzuka. And it's go! Cracking start by Coulthard. Look at him coming through the middle. He's already in front of Sato. Fisichella is in front of Button. That's terrible news for Jenson Button. And Coulthard is having a go as well. Christian Klein is also in the mix. 2 cars are off the racetrack. One of them, though, is the local hero Takuma Sato. The other is the Ferrari of Rubens Barrichello. That's terrible news for local hero Takuma Sato. But at the front, a poor getaway for Jenson Button. Has that scuppered his plans here for his first Grand Prix?
A good start from Ralf helped him keep the lead, but he had the Renault of Fisichella behind him now after he had passed Button at the start. Button was now 3rd ahead of both Red Bulls of Coulthard and Klein. Michael Schumacher was already up to 8th and Alonso was 10th.
16th on the grid, up to 10th place. Someone's off there, one of the Red Bull cars.
Klein, but he manages to get back on this now instead of gravel there. And look at Alonso, he's just flying through the pack. I think he's up to about 7th already. And a McLaren, Kimi Raikkonen, straight across the chicane. There's a route back on. But look at them, they're streaming past him. Bad mistake there. And there's a car heavily in the barrier on the left-hand side. It's the McLaren, it must be Montoya. Montoya off the road, 2 wheels missing, look, and a big shunt. He'll be okay. Surely the safety car will have to be out there to recover that. It's in a critical position in terms of the exit of the triangle chicane. Safety car is standing by. It must be deployed, surely.
Big hit for Montoya as he crashed out of the race. Meanwhile, his teammate had to cut the chicane. Elsewhere, Schumacher and Alonso had already made it up to 7th and 8th, with Raikkonen now 12th. Montoya was squeezed by Villeneuve before his big crash. The safety car pulled into the pits at the end of lap 7 and Ralf Schumacher retained the lead, with the top 5 all holding position at the restart.
Here comes Alonso having a go at Klein around the outside into the chicane. No prisoners taken there. He'll have to give the place back to Klein there because he cut the chicane. But Klein takes it back. Well, he will take it back down the straight.
Yeah, Alonso, Klein did the only thing he could, and that's stay to the right-hand side. Now Alonso's going to have him back down the pit straight. And so you can actually say he had a slight advantage by coming from up high there.
Fernando Alonso went wide when trying to pass Christian Klein and briefly gave the position back before overtaking him once again at turn 1. The stewards decided that Alonso had gained an advantage and ordered him to let Klein back past him.
Schumacher fairly soon, I think. Coming down towards 130R, 180 mile an hour corner, and he's trying to line him up for a pass into the chicane. Not quite close enough this time. Obviously one of the problems you've got with these cars in 2005 is so many aerodynamic devices on the bodywork of these things. You can't really follow another car through a fast corner. And look already how far back Alonso has fallen.
Yeah, you've got to wonder if he's actually got a problem. I think he's got a problem. It's not accelerating. He was very slow through 130R. And look, Alonso then with a problem. and just fell back from 130R. I was surprised how much Michael pulled away from him, but then down the pit straight didn't accelerate at all. And why would that be? He's not letting himself back past clean again, is he?
While Alonso was letting clean past, home favourite Sato collided with Jarno Trulli, forcing the Toyota to retire from the race. At the start of lap 13, Alonso made his way back past Christian Clean and up into 7th position. This ordeal lost Alonso about 8 seconds, and Raikkonen had closed up to him and Clean by this point. At the front, Ralf Schumacher pitted from the lead at the end of lap 13, effectively ending his chance of victory, as he was on a 3-stop strategy rather than the traditional 2-stop that everybody else was running. The early safety car meant he couldn't use his early pace advantage to build a big enough gap, and so Fisichella inherited the lead. Once Raikkonen passed Clean, he and Alonso were by far the fastest drivers on track, and quickly caught Michael Schumacher, who was in 5th.
Of McLaren, because I'm sure Raikkonen is fueled quite a bit longer than that. We believe it's for Fisichella, the current leader, and then Michael goes to the inside, tries to block the line into 130R.
Oh my word!
And Alonso having none of it, straight around the outside.
What a move by Fernando Alonso. Speaking on the Bring Back V10s podcast, the race's Mark Hughes revealed after the race that he saw Renault telemetry, which showed Alonso was travelling at 208 miles per hour when he passed Schumacher, truly one of the greatest ever F1 overtakes. Fisichella pitted at the end of lap 20, briefly handing Jenson Button the lead before he pitted and Alonso pitted also on lap 22. A lap later, David Coulthard pitted from P1 and rejoined ahead of Alonso, leaving Schumacher and Raikkonen 1 and 2, with the Finn struggling to pass the Ferrari of Schumacher. On lap 26, both Schumacher and Raikkonen pitted, with the Ferrari coming out ahead. They both jumped Alonso, who was stuck behind Coulthard and Villeneuve, who hadn't stopped yet. The order was now Fisichella first, followed by Ralf, Button, Webber, Michael, Raikkonen, Coulthard, Villeneuve and Alonso, all the way down in 9th place.
But you do get pinched, and this Raikkonen finally getting past Michael Schumacher. Alonso is just behind them.
Just after their first pit stop, Raikkonen managed to pass Michael Schumacher at turn 1 and set about catching Button and Webber in 2nd and 3rd. By lap 32, Alonso had caught Schumacher and was now stuck behind him, losing over a second a lap to Raikkonen ahead, who was by far the fastest on track.
Go on, go on!
Oh, and Michael has gone very deep again. Can Fernando get a cleaner run? Because Michael's got to turn harder right now as they come onto the pit straight. Fernando's got a much better chance this time of getting down, doing a Raikkonen, getting down the outside, and he's just got to storm in, don't lift off the throttle, sweep in and steal the racing line.
Alonso forcing Michael Schumacher into a mistake there, and now set about catching the cars in front. Just as he was about to catch Raikkonen, who was stuck behind Button and Webber, Alonso made his final pit stop, rejoining in 8th. 2 laps later, Alonso's teammate made his final pit stop, rejoining just behind Raikkonen and in 4th position. At the end of lap 40, Button and Webber made their second stops, releasing Raikkonen to push before his final stop. Webber managed to jump Button in the pits after a good stop from the Williams, and they both rejoined ahead of Alonso. Raikkonen used this clear air to set fastest lap after fastest lap, sometimes 2 seconds faster than Fisichella. He made his final pit stop on lap 45 and rejoined in 2nd, 5 seconds behind Fisichella's Renault, who was leading again. Fernando Alonso caught the back of Webber's car after his overtake on Button, which was not broadcast.
Mark Webber can pick up an extra point here or there. It could make all the difference in the Constructors' Championship, particularly as Montoya will score nothing. He's out of the race. Look at this though. Alonso's going for it down the inside. On the grass, 2 wheels. Fernando Alonso. What a brilliant move once again. Another fantastic pass.
An amazingly brave move from Alonso there. 2 wheels on the grass. And that moved him up into 3rd place, where he would finish. With 3 laps to go, Raikkonen was only half a second behind Fisichella, and he was even closer going on to the penultimate lap.
And what are you doing? What are you going so defensive for? That wasn't necessary at all. And there was Fisichella defending some fresh air.
Was interesting though, did you see Fisichella on the left? His throttle was flat through 130R corner. Raikkonen lifted, but he's coming down the inside now. He's lining him up for trying to pass down the outside into the first corner. Well, he's just letting him know he's there. I think Fisichelle's well aware of that. Very interesting to compare how they're working the throttle and the brake, these two. Fisichella lifting off earlier than Raikkonen into turn 3. You see, up the sequence of up the hill, only one line through here, no chance of passing through here. But Raikkonen will be very keen to get as close as he can through the spoon curve, turns 13 and 14, in order to do what he did last time, get really good toe out of the straight and into 130R corner, the closing stage of this lap.
Well, Fisichella mustn't pull that trick again. If he's got to take the better line through the chicane, otherwise Raikkonen's going to have him down into turn 1. But he obviously was expecting an attack, but clearly Raikkonen was way too far behind. And that's the concertina effect of a hairpin you're seeing there, as the driver in front is always going to be on the throttle a car length earlier, and with the amount of power these things have got, begins to pull away. Look at Raikkonen, he's just all over him like a rash. He's got so much more grip and balance and confidence. But this is the exit of Spoon again then, and Fisichella up the inside. He's now moved to the outside, the racing line, and Raikkonen is absolutely hauling him in. And again, he goes defensive when he doesn't need to. It puts him out of shape then for the exit then, as we saw earlier on. Has he got enough traction to keep the McLaren behind him? He's really left himself to be a sitting target now. He'll have to go defensive down the inside. He'll have to go tighter than that. Oh, and they nearly touched. Can Raikkonen sweep in? Yes, he can. Brilliant.
What a brilliant move! Side by side down the straight. Grand Prix racing at its absolute finest. Kimi Raikkonen sweeps through to take the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix.
What a move from Raikkonen on the final lap to go from 17th to 1st. Fisichella finished 2nd ahead of his teammate Alonso. Mark Webber finished 4th, with Button coming home in 5th. This is what Kimi had to say about his amazing win.
Just before my last pit stop, I was able to go fast, and I pulled a little bit gap, and then I was not too far behind anymore when I came out. So I thought that maybe I have chance to catch him up and try to overtake. And just into the last lap, I was able to get him on the main straight, and then I started to hit the rev limiter again, but I just kept it. I went as quickly as I could outside on the first corner, and luckily I made it through, so it was very good.